Hey everyone, how are you? Good morning. Well, I think good morning. It's good afternoon. It's 3:30. Where'd my day go? So today we're waiting for my guest Harrison Klein, and perhaps we'll be joined by his beautiful wife Marbeth Dunn, and they are both faculty members of IAUSM. In the meantime, today, while we're waiting for them to show up, I want to talk to you today about choices and decisions. This is a huge one for people. And, we make choices. I don't know if we realize that we make choices continually throughout the day. I don't even know. I can't even imagine a number of how many choices we make in a day. From, am I going to brush my teeth right now, or I'm going to wait till after I have my coffee, to, big life decisions. We're constantly making choices all the time. And a lot of the times in our struggles in our lives are because of the choices that we make. The challenge with that is that we're used to making these choices all the time, but we're always hoping that we'll have some kind of a different result. Something will change because we're not getting the same result as we have been getting before, or that we've been wanting to get, or that thing we've been wanting to have happen isn't happening. But what we're not looking at is our choices, the decisions that we make, right? From moment to moment. Sometimes changing just one or two choices in a day, or one or two choices in how we deal with something, is enough to create change. Right, is enough to create a different outcome, right? And so if you look at all the different things that we decide in a day, you may find that just making different choices will change those things for you. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about choices and decisions today, but right now Harrison Klein has joined us, so I'm going to bring him in with us.
Hey, hi. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing sensational, amazing, phenomenal, outstanding, incredible, awesome, turned on, tuned up, tweaked, authentic, resplendent, opulent, happy, inspired.
Is that all?
No, that's politics. Yeah. I may add a couple of other adjectives before the show is over.
So it was just while I was waiting for you, I was talking about the choices that we make.
Okay.
In every day. And, sometimes we make the same choices and we want to make, we're expecting a different outcome.
Right. That's what Einstein or somebody defined as insanity.
It's true, but we do.
I have a different definition of insanity. And that is that if insanity is when you break into somebody's house in the middle of the night, do their washing, ironing, leave, and then don't give any indication of what happened.
Okay, that's insanity too. Right. Or just you're a really, really, really kind person.
Or if you're a really kind person, yes.
So it's that as well. So as I was waiting for you, I was just talking about sometimes just making some different choices in our day, choosing something different, trying something different, making a different decision than you've made in the past might be enough to watch a different outcome.
Yes. Every time you disrupt a habitual pattern, you have an ability to make a conclusive change in who you are and what your outcomes are. So most of us operate by pre-programmed subconscious, I guess programming is the word. I didn't want to use that 3 times in the same sentence, but we are programmed to behave in certain ways. And so when we disrupt that pattern, we have the ability to change much quicker. If we're talking about making changes, there's 3 basic fundamental things, or 4 basic fundamental ways that we change. And I think everybody should understand this. And this is a really super hot tip for people who want to make, changes in their emotions or in their abilities or their results. We change through our self-image. We can't overcome our self-image, or our self-images are fixed, but we can create new self-images. So we can't change the ones that are there. We can't improve the ones that we operate under, but we can create brand new self-images. Second thing is that we can change through our belief systems, So when we create new beliefs, that begins to operate differently. Now, the higher frequency or vibration always dissolves the lower frequency. So when you're happy, you don't think about being depressed. It dissolves all depressive. And when you're wealthy, you don't think about being in poverty. It doesn't occur to you. It's just not part of your makeup. So the belief system is the second way. The third way, which is the way most people go about it, or at least the high majority of people up until probably the last 20 or 30 years who've gone about making major changes in their lives, is through shock. They go through a fundamental place where they get to threshold and they can't take it anymore, and the explosion of the no changes them into an opening of surrender to the new.
Right.
So that's the third way. And then the fourth way is like a lot of what we're doing now, and a lot of what the trend for this 2021 and all of 2020 has been, which is to go through inspired introspection. So those are the only four ways that we change. There is no other thing. Everything is a derivative of those four ways.
Yes.
So when we understand that, we just choose one that's most comfortable for us, and then we can follow the allowance of those things to happen to us, and we can make any changes we want. Most people kind of try to do things randomly. They want to make change. They try to discipline themselves in the change, or they try to change their environments, or none of those. But if you don't know the fundamental underlying principle, the foundational principle, it's going to be a lot harder. But if you know where you're going, and you can say, okay, here's where I can focus on my beliefs, or I can focus on, I want to be this new person. I want to be this incredible, influential, happy, wealthy, blah, blah, blah person, and we keep coming back to that, the change becomes much, much easier. So those are the third one. The shock is the way that I don't recommend.
I call that one the tragedy. Like, people wait for a tragedy to happen before they decide to make a change. And yeah, that's not.
It's a much harder way.
There's easier ways to do it.
Yeah, it's rock bottom, so yeah.
And I think that people try to change too many things at the same time. We're coming up to New Year's now. So somebody who's watching this video later, like we're December 16th right now. And I think they go, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, they want all this change to start happening inside a very short period of time. And then they get disappointed when it doesn't, because it's too much too fast.
The mind can only handle about 3 major disciplines at one time. If you try to do any more than that, basically you're in a lot of trouble. But the highest recommendation from all the most successful people on the planet is to do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Well, that's complete, and then you go to the next one. Fortunes are made by concentrating on one thing, niching down to one area. And when you can do that, fortunes are made. So, and I don't mean just fortunes financially. I mean fortunes in every way, in relationships, in career, and in personal development, and love, and every different thing. So, as you niche down to your focus, becomes much more laser rather than diffuse, and that becomes the impetus for intensity and acceleration. So.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Cool.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that you're part of IAUSM, Harrison, for like lots of different reasons. But, I think it's really interesting if people could learn a little bit about you. So if you were to tell somebody brand new about who is Harrison Klein, what would you say?
I'm not a very interesting person.
Oh, I don't know. I don't buy that.
Basically, my early years were very, very difficult. I did not have a conversation with anybody till I was almost 30 years old. And that's because I was quite mentally autistic. And, in my autism, the experience is one in which, you hear only, and people outside of autism don't know this because autistic people can't articulate it until they're out of autism. So they don't know that, at least in my experience, I heard about every third word people were saying because there was so much noise and gobbledygook inside of my head. I could hardly make out what people were saying. So I didn't engage in hardly any kind of conversations. And when I did, I was trying to piece together what people were saying.
Right.
So that was one thing. Second thing is, visually, it's like having film over your eyes that is constantly moving. It's like having a fog that's going on. So when I wouldn't see you like I see you now. I would see you in a very vague way. And there was a moving film that would happen on my eyes. So, most people who are deeply autistic can't see as well. I mean, they can see the outlines. They can see it's like a silhouetted, it's like a colorful silhouette. And the third thing is that the body that I had at that time was highly numb, very insensitive to things, and so it was like when your leg falls asleep. It was that kind of numbness. So you're very sensitive to the touch, but it's there's a sensation is crazy. It's undealable. You can't take any pressure. You can't take any kind of connection. That's why autistic people can't be hugged easily. They can't be, they can't have contact with people. So my particular experience was one in which the pain body that I experienced was one when anybody came within 6 feet of me, approximately 6 feet, which is the auric expanse of what most people have. Mine may now be, 4 or 8 or 12, I don't know, but whatever level it is, I experienced stabbing pains in my ribs, and so I could not touch anyone. And so 30 years of my life, I was in this, hellish prison we call autism, or that they call autism, and then in one particular evening, somewhere in about 1972, I think. I don't even remember the date, but I should have marked it because it was a turning point in my entire life.
Right.
But, I was sitting in an overstuffed chair in Cleveland, Ohio, in the middle of the night. It was probably about 2:30 in the morning, and I had what the Japanese call a satori, a white light experience. I was yanked out of my body. My consciousness was yanked out of my body. It was sent spinning through the universe in this tube of white light. I was moving at a velocity faster than the speed of light. I was going through the universe. I was going through galaxies. I was watching planets birth and die, galaxies spin. I was, clouds coming at me and colors coming at me and patterns coming at me. And I was just racing by entire gigantic experiences, velocities and space-time all, kind of in a crazy speed, unfathomable to the human body, And then I don't know how long I was in there. It could have been 2 minutes, could have been 2 hours, could have been 2 days. When I came back, I came back in a thud, you could actually hear a kind of a thing. And then when I came back into my body, my senses were highly enhanced. I was clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. I could see energy. I could see the pulsations. I was in my apartment. And I was watching the pulsations of all the different colors, the reds, the greens, the oranges, the grays, and all that. I could actually see their pulsations. I could see translucently into other living things. And that was a big shock, obviously. The experience probably increased my IQ from that point, probably 40 points, I would guess, somewhere in that area. And so my intelligence became much greater and my awareness became 360. So I could actually tell what was going on behind me and all around me. My eyes became clearer, my vision became clear, my audio experience was so enhanced that I could hear conversations probably 20 to 30 yards away that I couldn't hear across the table the day before or the moment before.
Right.
And then my body became, attuned to joy. And, it was like this massive influx of energy. The only way I can describe it is that if you were standing on a train platform and a super train was going by 200 miles an hour and you tried to grab onto the rail as it was going by. So this massive amount of energy, and I was holding on for dear life for a while until I figured out what was going on, which was, it was a total unknown and in the spiritual realm, and it was the collapse of space and time. And suddenly there was no self, there was only awareness. And that experience was what the Japanese call a satori, a sudden enlightenment, if you will. And, from that point on, my purpose was clear because I had clear connection to source. I mean, it was a direct interaction. It wasn't one in which, I was praying to an outside experience or anything like that. I was actually having communication with source experience. And so that, that obviously changed my life and put me on the path I'm on now. So, and I have not been the same person since that moment. So, I never went back.
I can't imagine you would ever be the same person again. Yeah. So what path are you on now, Harrison? Let's talk about that. First of all, that story is amazing. Like, a lot of it's amazing. Number one, the fact that you never had a conversation before the age of 30. Like, you kind of brushed over that part at the beginning, and it's like, that's big. Like, that's a big thing.
It's pretty amazing.
Right. And being autistic and then not being autistic, and all of that sort of happening in this universal journey that you took, and everything changing for you so dramatically and so quickly, and coming back virtually somebody different.
Yes. I don't know if I was occupied by aliens. Not having a conversation was a function of just this massive fear. So in the autistic state, there's this massive fear and this confusion. So it's a continuous, I could read well, I could not relate to anything that was animated. So animals and people I couldn't be in the same company of, so it was just massive fear and a constant no, resistance. No, go here. No, do this. No, But I could read, and I was a voluptuous, not voluptuous, voracious. I must have other things on my mind today. And so I was a voracious reader for a while. I was reading tremendous amounts of books. So I was a voracious reader for a while, and I could watch movies, but I couldn't be in the same room with somebody else while we were watching a movie. I had to do it by myself. Couldn't be in the same room with my parents watching a movie, or my brothers, or any of that kind of stuff. So it was just that experience. So, and then where I went from there was the fact that, my interpretation of what the meaning of all that was. It was a moment of grace. It wasn't anything that I didn't even believe in God. I didn't believe in anything. At that point, I had no opinions about anything, So the opinions I had was no, stay away from me. Those were the only opinions I had. So when I came to this sort of awakening, there's your dog, communicating with me. When I came to this sort of awakening, basically, that it opened up the path that said, this is sort of a martial arts or karate or Green Beret training for what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So the reason why we go really, really deep and really, really dark is to explore feelings that we don't know that we have. Right. So we go very, very deep to find out what is that you that we can't put our fingers on. So, and once we get to the point of where we make the breakthrough of the veil, now we know that, our purpose or our mission on this life is to also help other people get to those spaces, get to the open spaces. So that's the path that I'm on, and I help people in all areas of their lives. I travel the world and I help people lead extraordinary lives. My life has been nothing but a blessing since that moment. And I can't say anything but the most magical things have happened to me. And I'm, not, I'm not trying to brag. It just is sort of a situation that I found myself in by grace. It wasn't anything that I prayed for. The only thing that I prayed for up until that moment was basically, and the only thing that I knew was basically, I want out of this experience.
Right.
So when I came out, the very first thing that happened to me when this voice, very clear, very significant voice in my head said, tell no one of this experience. And for almost 10 years, I didn't tell a person about any part of that. So at a certain point, the guide said, yeah, okay, you can talk about it now. So, I had to get anchored back into this place of the unknown, so that the unknown would become comfortable for me, as opposed to the uncomfortability that makes the change.
Right.
So, yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you, what made you want to join IAUSM?
You did.
Well, yeah, you still had a choice. So back to those choices again.
A lot of my mission is about self-mastery. So because the place where you go when you experience any sort of pain, whether it be psychological or physical, is the exploration of what's going on inside of your body. And the greater the ability to master your emotions, your reactions, your mental responses, your ability to, process information and so on and so forth, the greater becomes your experience of feeling alive, and feeling way alive, not just a little bit alive, but, holy crap, ecstasy, so, and being in a place of bliss. So IAUSM was a perfect vehicle for opening that up. So, and, being able to help the mission that I believe we all have with each other, because none of us are in this alone. And my experience and my all of my senses tell me that we're all the same person, just in different forms for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so basically, every part of ourselves that we heal the entire universe, the entire planet. So the process of IAUSM, or the people that are in IAUSM, and the ideas and the foundation of IAUSM are, very significant as far as I'm concerned. They are promoting a great experience on the planet, and we are at a time when this is the most needed thing in the world. We need a gigantic revolution in consciousness and values and education and so many other portions of life that have meaning for people. Most people trying to find meaning in life, but the truth of the matter is that life has no meaning. We are the meaning. We are the entire meaning. And because we are the entire meaning, we give meaning to all the rest of life. And so IAUSM is a place to platform that for as many people as possible who want to, traverse and follow that path. Yeah.
That's awesome. So well said. So well said. Thank you.
I can't, up until 30, I couldn't say a word. So, well, I've been practicing. Conversational.
Harrison, because you know what, you've been such a wonderful, intricate part of IAUSM since you've come. You brought some wonderful faculty to us, as well as just your ideas and your thoughts, and you are so generous in sharing. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, and I appreciate you very much, and I'm so grateful that you're part of IAUSM.
You are quite welcome, and anybody who hears this, I want you guys to know that Aisha is an amazing human being who has, so much that, it's overflowing. The cup overfloweth, and, and all beautiful things, and definitely get to know her. So she needs to be able to touch lives, and your life will be really enhanced by that experience. So I want to recommend your sweetness and your articulateness and your joy and all those things that are so wonderful about you. So yeah.
Thank you, Harrison. You're awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to share today.
My great pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate that.
All right, everyone. See you soon, and join us in IAUSM, www.iausm.com.
Yay!
Be there. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.